Hey, Blind Eye friends. I don't know if I'll do this often, but I'm just doing something a little bit different today. And excuse the quality, but I'm going to record a video from my other phone onto this one so that you can actually hear like directly from this man who is David Hyles, the one and only one from the Hampton, Indiana church and First Baptist Church of Indiana, however you want to say it. Blah, blah, blah. And he, let's see, so First Baptist Church, Hammond, Indiana. And he is associated also with Jack Hyles, who went to prison for R-ing a girl. And I don't know what his exact, all the charges are. I don't have them in front of me. But, and then Jack Hyles is David Hyles' dad. This guy right here, if you can see him. I'm doing a director's view of my video, so I don't do this way very often, so forgive me if it's not great. And the quality might be crap, but whatever. I'm feeling really passionate about this right now. And why am I so passionate about this in particular individual versus talking about somebody else? I get that there are so many predators and so many pastors that have made mistakes, and well, they like to call them, in the Baptist circles, they like to call them mistakes or fallen. But because this man was so influential, mainly his dad and Jack Scott, not necessarily him in my day, at least, but they influenced all of our other churches. So it felt like Hyles Anderson was the big hub of, I don't know, the big wigs. It was our Christian celebrities or IFB celebrities. And I know so many other people would feel the same way. So, I just really wanted to kind of shine a light on this, especially for all the blind eyes, because right now he is doing ministry still. He is still in churches. He still wants to have you invite him to your church and come and preach and probably come down from the ceiling like a celebrity, like Jack Hyles did, or Jack Scott did. I don't know if Jack Hyles did that. I don't know if that was a thing back in the 70s or whenever he was popular. But our Teen Spectaculars did the same thing and made pastors seem like celebrities for sure. So anyways, so really quickly, this description, if you can read it, you can see it on this side, but I'm going to read it really quickly. So my eyes are going to be all over the place because of these two things. But anyways, so are you self-righteous? Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, am I self-righteous? It's easy to see the sins of others, but do we overlook our own? In this video, I break down what self-righteousness it really is and how we might be guilty of it without even realizing it. I share biblical truth, the example of the Pharisees, and a challenge for every Christian to examine their own heart. Jesus didn't excuse sin, but he also didn't use it as a weapon to condemn others. Are we following his example, or are we more like Pharisees, like the Pharisees? Okay, so that's his description, but for context really quickly, this man who's about to speak in this video, he has also been accused, just similar to Jack Scott, of SA and abusing at least two. I see on here there is a victim, Joy Ryder and Rhonda Lee. They have both tried to file lawsuits against him and or the college, the church and college and him or whatever. Well, it says in this thing, it's from Case Text is the website I saw this on. It said it was dismissed because of the way they filed it, and they didn't say, I don't know, there was damages by the business or something like that. I don't know. So I don't know where the case is at with that whole thing, just being honest. I have not got to dig that deep. But we have another victim that was on the Let Us Pray documentary series who also has alleged that he has abused her as well. So, okay, this guy has at least been accused of these things, and whether or not he got convicted, it's a little sus, right? So he has this ministry that is for the fallen, and it was called Fallen Ministry some things, and now it's rebranded to this Galatians 6:1. And there's just so much that we need to point out. So let's just dive into this video. Just keep in mind that he has been accused of SAing for like years, not just like one little time or like one little oopsie doopsie in his office, like accused of it for years. And like, what? So it sucks because hasn't been convicted of it as far as I know. So that makes it really tricky. Like, you do have to be careful because, if it's not true, then he can sue people for defamation. But if it is true, yikes. So let's just see what he has to say. He is trying to talk about being self-righteous and like judging other people's sins. But, and like IFB and maybe other types of Christians think like all sin is the same to God, and all of it is like, it doesn't really matter what sin you do, like sin is sin and it's forgiven the same way and treated the same way and all that. But in my mind, a sin is not just a sin. A wrongdoing is not just wrongdoing. Like, I think it's wrong to like scream at my kid and hurt their feelings. But I also think it's wrong to be a pedophile. Are they the same? Absolutely not. Is it the same for like a teenager to have sex with a teenager? No. Or like a teenager to have sex with a teenager versus like a 50-year-old having sex with a teenager. That ain't the same, honey. Like, you can consider it a sin in Christianity, but that is not the same. It's just not. So for him right now, what he's like suggesting, it's just cringe. Okay. And I am a little biased with this man. I don't know this man. Like, I've never met him. And I was thinking, like, if he's mad about me making a video about him, then he can like email me. Maybe I'll put my email in the description or something, and he can say whatever he wants to say. If he wants to talk to me, if he wants to like explain himself, fine, go for it. It's a free country. Or make his own little video about me. I don't care. It's just important that we talk about this. Like, we need to point out some things. So here we go. I'll stop blabbing.
Good morning, everyone.
Sorry if the audio sucks.
It's Wednesday morning here at the Red Barn. You might hear our Great Pyrenees dog, Outback Darcy.
Blah, blah, blah.
She's Anatolian Shepherd and Great Pyrenees mix, about 100 pounds plus of dog. A little bit of a chilly morning here. Had a terribly torrential rain, wind, storm early this morning, and later the sun will be coming out. I'm going to make some comments on something that I think every Christian should consider. I want to ask you a question. Are you self-righteous? I mean, maybe you think you're not. Maybe I think I'm not. But is it possible that we are self-righteous?
Yeah.
I guess the only way we can know is to kind of define it. What does it mean to be self-righteous? I think self-righteousness is when we choose to be more incensed about certain sins in others while ignoring our own. Now, you may think to yourself, well, there are some sins that are worse than others. And there are, to a degree, that's true, because even when the law was given, there were greater consequences on certain sins than on other sins. Yet, it is not my job to be more incensed about those sins than I am about my own.
Pause.
And here's an example.
What word is he saying? Incensed? Let's look that up real quick. Okay. I'm not the brightest crayon in the bunch, but incensed is very angry, enraged. So he's saying like people tend to be more incensed and angry at one sin versus another. But like I said, having sexual relations with someone your age could be a sin before marriage with a teenager, and also a sin for a pastor to do it with a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old without their consent. So, and they can't even consent because they're a child. And pastors can treat those situations the same. They could treat them as like affairs and, they were fallen into sin and they need to be forgiven. But they would definitely punish those teenagers more than the leaders of the church, because it's like, oh, brother so-and-so just stumbled. But this teenager that did it with his, friend, like in high school, we got to banish them. Send him to like some wilderness camp or something. Or to some like, what was that pastor's name? He did a bunch of stuff with like, I don't know. I just remember him talking about demons a lot. I'll think of his name later. But anyways, you'd send him to like a boys' home or a girls' home if they did something like that. But for pastors, they're like, let's have an offering, ship him to another church. He has been forgiven, and he's just going to serve out the rest of his ministry in like another place where nobody knows him. And that way, if he offends again, he has a fresh start with people who have no idea what his past is. So this is where I have a problem with this man right here. He's all into restoring the fallen men who have made mistakes. But if you're going to restore them, you best not put them in our churches that have no idea what they fell from. Okay? And I don't know if he's just talking about pedophilia and those kind of falling things, or if he's talking about just any kind of sin, like, I don't know, cheating or stealing or drugs or alcohol. He's not very specific, so it's kind of terrifying. Like, I would like him to elaborate on that. Like, what sin are you restoring these men from? I really want to know. Like, specifically, what kind of men are you looking for here to restore? Anyways.
Bible, when the Pharisees brought the lady who was caught in the act of adultery, in the minds of those Pharisees, her sin was one that was totally unacceptable. And of course it is. But they were incensed by it, and they were using it to tout their own righteousness and to attack Christ. Now, hear me. Do you realize how many Christians still do that today? They do it this way, though. They get indignant about some people's sins and then use those sins as sinners.
Some people's sins. We get indignant. We get incensed about some people's sins because those sins are like pastors sleeping with children. Sleeping with them. Awing them. Like, you can sugarcoat it if you want to and call the things that men are doing in the churches a sin instead of rape, or as some people like to say nowadays, grape, for sensitivity issues on YouTube. But we are going to be more angry, and that is okay. Parents should be angry, pastors should be angry, teachers should be angry, the kids should be angry. And as a matter of fact, there's tons of kids that are angry at the way they're treated and the sins of the fathers and the sins of the pastors that are treated so differently. Like, he's being a giant hypocrite because he's saying, you shouldn't be more mad at these sins than you are at your own sin. It's like, I'm sorry, if I sin and I, I don't know, check some dude out that wasn't my husband, and I'm like, oh, Lord, forgive me, I didn't mean to have that dirty thought. I don't know, say something stupid. And then a pastor who's walking on the other side of the street just got done R-ing someone who's a child. I think those sins are different. And I feel like my husband would be way less mad at me than if I just R-worded a little boy, okay? And it doesn't even matter that I'm just a regular person versus that pastor. But people gonna be angry about things that are way worse, I'd be way more mad if someone sinned against me and murdered my child versus someone sinned against me and my child got kicked in the shin, because that actually happened and I didn't go sue the school. So hello we're gonna be mad, and it's okay that we're mad, and we should be mad, and you, David Hyles, should be mad at the men that do these things. And you shouldn't be just restoring them and then poofing them into churches and stuff. I want to understand what your goal is, because so many churches looked up to you and your family and your whole legacy. And so you're going to affect so many more people than others because you have way more influence, and your family has a lot of influence, and your old church has a lot of influence. So we need to cut ties from the top down, because then it all trickles to the other churches. Not to give you a big head. You're really not that important anymore. Sorry. But you clearly are still trying to do some kind of ministry, and we need to make sure everything is on the up and up. Okay? Okay.
To attack another Christian. Now, let's look at it carefully. It's the same thing. If I help someone come back to the Lord who has committed a sin that, in a sense, it just eats you alive to the point to where you attack me for doing it, isn't that the same thing the Pharisees did? I'm not comparing myself to Christ. I'm saying, isn't it the same thing when you have an agenda to attack someone because they loved a sinner and because they tried to bring that sinner back into their relationship with the Lord? Not defending their sin. This is not
Debatable.
a love the sinner, hate the sin speech.
Yeah.
This is a, why are we so quick to be incensed about people's sins while kind of, nodding our head, shrugging our shoulders about our own or about sins that other people have that are to us not so bad? I don't want to minimize anybody's sin, but especially...
Don't you, though?
I don't want to minimize my sin.
Don't you, though?
I don't want to minimize my own tendency, prone to wonder. Lord, I feel it.
I feel it.
I mean, I don't ever want to become indifferent to my sins.
That's good.
But when I am indignant about others' sins, it is probably a sign that I am indifferent towards my own. Now look at what happened to Christ when they brought this lady to Jesus. He stooped, wrote in the ground, and then he stood and said, "He among you who has not sinned, let him cast the first stone." So what did he do? He pointed back to their sins. Now they knew they were sinners, but he diverted the attention off of the lady's horrible sin of adultery onto the horrible sins in their lives, in those Pharisees' lives. Now, their consciences were pricked when that was done. So did they pick up a stone and throw it at the lady? No. I give them more credit than I give to some Christians and preachers who get indignant about someone's sins and start throwing stones at that person and the people that simply love them. Sometimes people say that maybe someone is trying to restore someone to ministry. I don't restore people to ministry. That's a lie if anyone says that. I restore them to the relationship to Christ. That's it.
Okay.
I can do no more.
Thank God. I hope he's not doing no more. So he restores people to Christ and their relationship with the Lord, which that is great. If you want to take men that have fallen into sin, and I'm mainly talking about pastors who abuse. So if you're not helping men who abuse children, and that's not your goal, like I would like somebody to clarify this. And I'm trying to figure that out. I'm digging through. I'm watching all your videos. I am trying to learn, what is your mission? Because if you're not helping the pastors that are pedophiles, then okay, you do you, boo. Help rescue all these men that have fallen into sin, and they can go and back into the churches and integrate whatever, depending on their sin. But I do think there's a giant difference of what kind of sin there is. So I think you're wrong in a sin's a sin, and don't throw, don't throw the stone at the people. If you've sinned, you can't judge the person that sinned. I'm judging any pastor who grapes children or touches them inappropriately or makes them keep secrets from their parents. I'm judging them. I'm throwing that stone. I will make waves. So I'm sorry. This doesn't make me feel bad because I'm judging a pastor for doing something that I don't do, and my sins are different than his. Yeah, that's okay. I'm throwing those stones. So I guess this is me throwing a stone at you. I'm judging you. And I feel justified because children are involved. So if you're not restoring pedophiles, by all means, keep doing what you're doing. If you are, though, and you expect us to sit back and know this, we're not gonna. Okay? We have to warn the churches that you're going to be pastoring. We have to warn the churches that you're going to restore these men and pluck them, or place them back into churches and in Sunday schools, in children's churches, in bus ministries. And you may not be giving them a leadership, but if they're walking with the Lord, that means they're going to be going to church. And unless you have a men's only, no children allowed church to like put all these pedophiles in, we should be scared and we should be concerned. We should be throwing those stones and, I don't know, just kind of light up your life. Let other people know that you're going to be talking to and visiting, that this is what your goal is. So if it's not your goal, let us know. Like, if you're not okay with pedophiles, then please let us know. We need clarification, like majorly, because you've also been accused of really bad things. And I mean, what do you do about it, huh? Like, what? Okay, just cut that out. Anyways, I am like going on a huge rabbit trail, and like I have so much on my brain right now. Like, my brain is on fire. All I'm saying. Now I forgot my point from what he just said. Oh, okay. So he was saying that he doesn't restore them for like a position in the church, which is, if that's true, I'm glad. I'm glad he's not trying to take a fallen pastor that happened to kiss children and put them back in the pulpit or back in the children's ministry. Let's hope he's not doing that. And if he just said he's not, awesome. Hopefully he's telling the truth. And if he just wants to help men find God and, you know, not be around kids, awesome. But if he is trying to help men who abuse children back into the churches, this is literally the whole point of the video. It's the whole point of like even shedding light on this, because like otherwise it wouldn't really matter. I wouldn't really care about his ministry. I would just be like, whatever. He's just helping men. Like, if he means fallen Christians, like they fell out of their Bible, or they're a fallen backslidden Christian because they don't go to church anymore, or maybe they, you know, decided to have a drink on a weekend and they're like, I'm fallen and I need to get back up and go back to church. Like, if those are the sins he's talking about, by all means, you know, you do you, boo. But if not, and I know I keep saying that, but I'm just trying to say, like, I need him to understand. I feel like he's not understanding.
If God, now, do I think they have a ministry? Oh, yes, I think wherever God puts them,
hopefully not in
they
church.
will minister to whoever they can for the rest of their life.
Hopefully not
I
for
hope
children.
that's what they do. But I don't restore them to a position. That said, those Pharisees really were confronted by their own sinfulness. What did they do? They left. Now, did they really want to stone that lady? Well, I think they did. Yes, I believe they wouldn't have brought her to Jesus if they did not want to stone her. Just like some of you preachers out there that want to stone someone who's done something that makes you indignant. And by the way, I hate the sin that makes you indignant too. But I'm too focused on hating my own sin to become indignant about someone else's. Because if I get indignant about certain sins, I become indifferent to my own sins. So they realized that, and their agenda was, yes, to stone her, but even more so was to attack Jesus. Just like some preachers use those that we restore as a tool to hurt a preacher they don't like. They've done that with my dad for years, even after.
Oh, okay. To a pastor they don't like. Most people that leave a church, now that we're all grown-ups and we're not manipulated little sheep, now that we're all grown-ups, people don't just hate pastors for hating pastors. They don't just not like you because your personality sucks or your jokes are terrible. People usually start hating a pastor or not liking a pastor because you did something. And it's probably pretty bad. Because if it wasn't a big deal, they just leave the church and go find another one, because there's a church literally on every corner. there's not a shortage of churches. So if someone was just like, his personality kind of sucks, he's really boring, or I just don't get the message, they would just move on. But if someone is hating on you and saying bad things about you and spreading lies that you claim are lies, and you in your other videos talk about haters and talk about how people will send you 10 paragraphs worth of hate and what they think about you and all their lies and rumors, well, there's something major there. If someone's going to take time to write 10 paragraphs to you, they're not just bored. There's something that hit deep. There's something very concerning. And you said you didn't care. That was a totally different video that I just watched. But I'm just like, I have so much in my brain that you were saying, David, that it just, it's frustrating. And pastors get on this kick of, whenever you hear something bad about me, it means that they're like, the people that are spreading those lies are like demon possessed, they're oppressed by the devil, they're just making stuff up, and we're being viciously spiritually attacked, and like nothing people say about us is true. If it's negative, if it's good, praise Jesus, but if it's negative, that means it's not true and they're all lies and they're of the devil. No, they're probably hurt, broken, shattered people that put their trust in you to go to your church in the first place, become a member, get saved, get baptized, follow you like you're Jesus Christ himself. And then you shatter their heart and you shatter their trust. And then they go tell people, hey, don't go to that church. This pastor is up to no good. He did this, 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 and this to me. And then it falls on deaf ears most of the time. And then the pastors cover for each other. They send each other to different churches. They give love offerings to the pastors that screw up, but they give nothing to the victims that are broken and hurt, except for putting aside guilt, saying they're possessed or demon oppressed by a sexual demon or whatever, like they said to our friend Ruzi. Yeah. And that's the same guy I was talking about earlier with like the spiritual demon thing in the boys' home, and I can't remember his name. It's like Oliver or Steve, or not Steve. I don't know. I'll think of it. Something. It's bothering me. Anyways.
For his death. He restored someone, and they used that restoration as a means to attack him. Now, did they want to attack the person? Yeah, they've done that to me for years.
I want him to like define, what does it mean for him to actually restore someone? And why would someone be mad about that? Think about that. Why would anyone care if you help someone get right with the Lord, get him back in his Bible, get him back to the spiritual highness? No one needs to be mad about that. Unless that him being restored, means that he's going to be an influential person in a church after he did something real bad. Otherwise, it would not matter, because like a personal walk with the Lord has nothing to do with the general public. So it must mean you're doing something that's going to affect other people, and therefore you should care. And maybe your dad should have cared and had been more selective on the people he restored, because, and like I said, literally this is just isolated to pedophiles and people who hurt kids, abusers of children, or, general R-worders. Of course, if they're like R-wording their wives, that still counts. Like that goes under that umbrella as well, of like what we would be concerned about, what Blind Eye would be concerned about. If they're, if they're men that beat their kids till they're black and blue, that would fall under like abuse. And so basically men that abuse people, I don't think they should get restored to a place inside the church where they could harm more people. It's whoever's at risk of harming someone again, they probably should not be involved in the church. Unless, like you said, you want to I could be totally wrong. I could be totally a bad person for thinking this, but if it's someone that's at risk of hurting a child, maybe you could do this whole thing you're doing, but keep all the men isolated to an area or a church with no kids involved, and maybe not even women, because that can get scary too. So yeah, unless like it's a woman pedophile, then sure, by all means, like she can go there too. And you can, help them get some jobs that have nothing to do with kids or being an influence to anyone. Like they just shouldn't be influencing anyone, because that's just, it's no, just no. No.
I'm not being a martyr,
Yeah,
but
right.
being Jack Hyles' son has caused me to be in the limelight of accusation, lies, many of them.
Of course.
But that doesn't minimize in my own mind the sins I do or have committed.
What were those?
But their agenda was twofold: to destroy me and to use me to destroy my dad.
Nobody
That's
has
what
an agenda
people
like that.
do. Now hear me. They go on the internet and they become
Like me right now.
kind of what's the word? Heroes
Passionate.
for screaming out how bad a certain sin is, and how much we should bash the person who did it, and how much we should bash the person who's trying to restore them, never even stopping to get the truth.
Okay,
That
tell
the
me the
people trying
truth.
to restore them are not trying to restore them
What's your truth?
to a position, a title. That's a lie. But trying to restore them to the Lord Jesus Christ, who loved them enough to die for them, to God the Father, who loved them enough to send his only begotten Son so that they could be saved. Now, if they were not saved, we probably would rejoice, but they are saved, and so we don't rejoice. We use them. And I think there's three things we use them for. One, to advance our own cause, to make us look good, because we want to be a hero. I mean, we're out there fighting against this sin. Two, to destroy the person that committed the sin. And three, to destroy someone who tries to help the person who committed the sin. That's the agenda. Now, that's what they do.
They meaning us too. Blind Eye Movement, my friends, my family, whoever wants to stop pedophilia in churches and child abuse. We're the fighters. And we've got the agenda. The agenda that we have, I love when they use that phrase. Like, they just randomly make up stuff about us because they hate us and they just want to take down the church and they're possessed by the devil. And no, honey, we're not actually. We just care about kids. And churches put up this huge thing for kids. They make bus ministries. They make children's church. They make VBS, Vacation Bible School. They make summer camps. They do extravagant, amazing thing for kids. And they're all about children and outreach and visiting and bus ministry kind of stuff for kids. So us right fighter agenda carrying people are worried about those kids, because at the same time you're doing these beautiful things that should be amazing, and church should be an amazing place and safe place and a place to grow and learn and become better moral people without sin as much as possible, because nobody's perfect, right? If churches could just stick to what they're actually telling us that they're teaching us and telling us that they're all about, then those kids wouldn't be in danger. And people like me wouldn't be saying what I'm saying right now. I wouldn't even be making this video, because I'd be like, oh my gosh, church is amazing and there's not abusers and pedophiles and children beaters and stuff. So that's what we're concerned about. We don't have a hidden agenda. We're not just trying to go after pastors because we hate them or don't like Christians or don't like IFBers or independent fundamental Baptists, whatever you want to call them. That ain't it. I wouldn't waste my time if no one was in danger, but kids are actually in danger. We get message after message after message of a different church, a different pastor, a different teacher, a different parent that goes to those churches that have abused children. So it's not like what you're saying. But yeah, okay.
I don't want to be that person. Why can't we just love them? Love them.
You can
let
love
the
them.
consequences work themselves out.
Right.
I can't stand, nor do I want to stand between a person and the consequences. Now, do I sometimes pray for God to have mercy on someone? Yes. Nothing wrong with that. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. We're supposed to be merciful. It's not right for us to want someone. I read a preacher said this. We should castrate somebody. Who made you the judge? That's vindictive.
Oh, crap. I don't want to like that. My bad. I don't like it. Oops. Okay, so, by the way, if his videos disappear, you know why, because he's not going to like what I'm saying, and then I won't get to watch all of them. But I'm doing him a favor by giving him this view, by not like recording it and then putting it on mine. He's getting this view, so yay for him. Anyways, crap, I forgot what I was going to say. Okay, so this is what makes me think that he's talking about pedophiles. Because a pastor said that they should be castrated, but he didn't say what sin that was for. So if you could clarify, what was that pastor talking about? What kind of sin was he talking about? And there's a lot of people that would want even worse things for pedophiles, child abusers to go through as a punishment. And you say, let the consequences work themselves out, like in-house consequences, like you just get demoted or moved away to another church and then start fresh? Or how would you like those consequences to work out? What would you want a consequence to be? Let's say someone abused your child. What would you do, David Hyles? Because that answer would give us all some clarification on how you really feel about it. So ask yourself, if it's your child getting abused, which maybe you're the one abusing, so I guess you probably wouldn't be able to answer this truthfully, but what would your truthful answer be? And then we could kind of really see where your heart is at. Yeah, so if he's praying for a better consequence or like the best scenario for these people, what sin are we talking about? Because if you're talking SAers, R-worders, child abusers, why would you pray for them to get a lesser sentence or a lesser punishment or a worse consequence? And why are you just letting them just work those consequences out themselves? Have them have I don't know, God will take care of it. God will be the judge. We're just going to let them stay in the church kind of thing. Is that what you're saying? You.
I read, a preacher said this. We should castrate somebody. Who made you the judge? That's vindictive.
Yeah.
And it's not your place. It's not my place to decide what someone's consequences are. Right. I don't even give an opinion.
Right.
I don't want to give an opinion about.
He's probably too scared to.
Even if they're not saved, I don't want to give that opinion because it's not my place. I want to witness to the lost to try to get them saved and get them to the Lord. I want to restore the ones that have fallen and try to get them back to the Lord. Now that's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. Not just me, all of us. So if you are one of those people who kind of you're a warrior against sin, and you become, I think it becomes prideful.
Oh.
Or you want to destroy the person who has committed the sin because maybe they were a preacher and they have brought some kind of bad reproach upon preachers. Well, guess what? Preachers are sinners. I mean, look at the Bible. Read your Bibles and see all the stories of people. God can survive our reproaches. You understand that?
Oh, good.
He doesn't need us. But
right.
So that's self-righteous. And 3, you want to attack the people who merely are trying to restore them and then even accuse them falsely of restoring them to a position that they're not doing.
Are you sure?
Be careful about self-righteousness. There's a lot of it going on in Christianity. I see it. I hear it. Don't be self-righteous. Ask yourself the question, am I self-righteous? I tend to want to be that way, but I'm conscious of it, so I try not to be self-righteous.
Yeah.
So what I do is, number 1, I am not the warrior fighting a certain sin. I am a warner of people who are engaging in certain sin. 2, I am not the judge and jury and executioner of people who commit the sin. And number 3, I am not going to criticize anyone who goes to the aid and loves the sinner, no matter what they've done, and simply tries to restore them in their relationship to the Lord Jesus Christ. If you don't do those 3 things, be careful. You might be self-righteous. Think about it, please.
Oh, yes.
I believe what I've just shared with you is absolute truth. God bless you and have a great day.
Oh, I will. Okay, so So, like, you can't be mad at the person that fell, and don't you dare be mad at the person that loves them and restores them and helps them out. Okay, that's fine. And he also said that it's a lie that people are restoring men back into positions. So I'm guessing positions of power, like pastors, leaders, school teachers, things of that nature. I don't think that's a lie, though, because there's been plenty of pastors accused of child abuse that have positions. Just like this one guy, David Hyles, I think his name is, that was accused of child abuse. And he has a position right now. I don't exactly know what his position is. He's still preaching. And he's got Kelly Choma on his videos, who's also preaching and visiting other churches, which means they have a position of influence in churches. He has a Red Barn ministry that has these mini houses, and I'm trying to figure out all the deets of like who's allowed to stay in those. Is it just like a regular Airbnb type situation, or like a hotel for fallen men to get away? I don't know exactly what he uses them for, but in a lot of his videos, he is sitting in front of it.
Hey
right
everyone,
there.
today
And
I'm going to share a thought that
there's
the Lord had on my heart.
there's so many videos that like I may touch base on with, but they'll probably all disappear. I have a feeling like if I post any of this, they'll probably get shut down quite quickly. But it's whatever, you know, if he wants to delete his messages, then that's fine. Less influence to other people. But crap, what was I saying? Keep forgetting. Oh yeah, so you can't be mad at people for like loving them and helping them. And sure, like if you knew of a pastor who made a illegal mistake and you were like, hey, I want to help this brother out. I'll help him get a hotel. I'll help him do this. I'll help him do that. If you want to do that, that's on you and your conscience. But don't be mad at us if we don't want to help that guy. Like, he's on his own. He does, you know, like, he has to deal with whatever consequences he has. And you don't want to help those men get back into a church and back into a position of even a church member can have access to, oh, I'm going to volunteer on Sundays in the nursery. I'm going to volunteer as a Sunday school teacher, because that's technically not being a pastor. You're just like, hey, I'm just leading Vacation Bible School. And churches are all about volunteering. Like, hey, I'm going to work in the sound booth, because there's no kids there, but also he has access to kids everywhere. And he can look at them and take pictures of them and invite them over for potlucks, because churches are all about getting together, knowing each other, and family get-togethers and afterglows and like small groups and stuff, depending on what kind of church you go to. So it is very dangerous actually to restore any kind of abusers to a church setting, because it's just a breeding ground of vulnerable people that are putting their trust in the leadership, putting their trust in other church members. So I will stop for now. I'm probably going to run out of storage right now. But I have so much to say about this. So David Hyles, if you'd like to reach out, feel free to clarify anything I said wrong. Not that I really want to talk to you necessarily, but that's the open door, because I believe that we need to change things and we need to make a huge difference in the world. Not just me attack you, you attack me, and we never actually like change anything. We need to change things desperately. So I would just really like to know who you're restoring, what are the offenses, because that does matter actually, because not all sin, quote unquote, is the same, just like not all laws that you break are the same. A seatbelt law is definitely different than a lot of the fallen pastors, and I'm sure the things that they've done. That's just my opinion, especially considering you're one of those fallen pastors, I believe. And that's kind of what you were saying in your other videos, is that you are one of those people like Moses who lost everything, and you have sins that you did, and you know, you may or may not have done the things that the girls are accusing you of, but it's very conceivable considering where you came from and who your dad is and Jack Scott and all of that. And you know, you guys all kind of, I don't know, flock together, and since it's like the main hub that all of our churches learn from, it's very likely. So, yeah. Okay. Bye-bye now.